Imagine if we could learn from Google themselves how they rank and view content and whether it gets seen or not. As you probably know, Google owns YouTube, and there's actually been a pretty recent change that they have added in terms of how they are filtering content that I think every YouTube creator needs to know, especially because there's actually some pretty big problems facing YouTube creators right now. I don't know if you saw this article. But in Business Insider, they said that the great YouTube exodus is coming, leaving AI junk and Mr. Beast to reign supreme. And it kind of talked about how there's some big creators quitting. It talked about how there's a proliferation of low quality AI content that is all over YouTube. And that there's kind of also this big gap where Mr. Beast and creators like that are creating ultra high end content that has hundreds of people working on it, millions of dollars being spent. And so it sort of pointed out like these four challenges: that there's fierce competition right now on YouTube, that there's been a lot of changes to the platform and the algorithm, that there's the rise of AI content. And we know that there's good aspects of AI as a tool to help you make better content, but there also is a lot of low quality stuff being pushed out there, especially even children's content, like animated content. And creators are also facing burnout. And so no doubt about it, we need as much good information and strategy as we could get. And there's actually four things Google is telling us in terms of how we can make better content. And we're going to be covering those in this video, but it's also not all bad news. I mean, in the midst of these challenges, and let me know, are you facing any of these challenges? There's also massive opportunity. Another Business Insider article revealed that the creator economy is a $250 billion industry, and it's here to stay. And if you actually look down at the bottom here, it quotes Goldman Sachs estimated that this year the creator economy could be a $480 billion industry by 2027. So we're really kind of living in this tension where, like, is it too late to start YouTube? No. Is it still possible to grow? Absolutely. Is there massive opportunity in the creator economy, and is it growing? Yes, but there's also a lot of challenges. And so I'm excited because I kind of stumbled over this Google SEO four-factor ranking insight, and I was like, man, that makes it so clear of some of the things that I actually predict are going to be influencing YouTube. So let's break these down and learn from these. And so it's really this formula that Google is giving us, and it's called EAT. Have you heard of the EAT formula before? E-E-A-T. Here's what it stands for. So EAT stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And so until December 2022, it was just EAT without the new E, which is no experience. And the reason they added this additional E, so to be clear, the four things, we'll break down what these are. The reason they added the additional E of experience is right as ChatGPT launched and the spread of AI. So it's very interesting. And so as I was thinking about this, I'm like, man, okay, we can learn from this as YouTube creators and content creators. So EAT stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And this is how Google judges pages based on the credibility of the page, the author, and the website. Now, quick disclaimer. This formula is for Google's ranking algorithms for websites and blogs. We need to make it clear that the way videos rank on YouTube and how they're judged is by things like watch time and average percentage viewed and average view duration and click-through rate. And so the quality of your content on YouTube, in fact, whether it's high or low quality, if it can keep people's attention and keep people on YouTube, then the video can perform well. However, we know that Google owns YouTube, and we know that YouTube is combating AI. They just launched some new AI rules. In fact, we'll link to a video in the description about the new rules they launched where you have to disclose generative AI. Things like generative AI are going to be spreading more and more on the platform. And so these four things, like, wait until when we really get into these, you're going to see like how relevant they are, that every YouTube creator should be taking these seriously and including these in their video, because the algorithms think the same and they think towards quality. And let's break that down. So they think towards these four factors in regards to how they rank. So what do these mean? Number one, experience. So quality content often demonstrates the creator's firsthand experience with the subject matter. This helps prove that suggestions are tried and tested and that their insights are authentic. So what you want to do is think about this as lived experience or as firsthand experience about the topic. Now, this is what's interesting is like if you look up a video like best mirrorless cameras 2023, because on my Think Media channel, I do a lot of camera reviews and tech reviews. What's fascinating is a lot of the tech videos that are ranking, even if you were to look up like lawnmowers or blenders, and you could try this, you'll see that it'll be some weird website that YouTube channel that's like top 5 lists. And the video is like some AI voice or hired voiceover with a bunch of B-roll and a bunch of manufacturer trailers combined together and even other creators clips taken. These are kind of like faceless channels, but here's what's fascinating is does that fit this experience qualification? In fact, let me actually take you there to kind of show you what's possible to do, but what I think is not going to last, and I actually think is going to be ultimately filtered off the platform. And so if you were to say like top blenders 2024, like, right, you're looking for the top blenders, and you look at a site like Valid Consumer, they got 75,000 subscribers. Best clothing.
A blender is one of the most versatile gadgets you can have in your kitchen. With the right
A blender is the most versatile gadget you can have in your kitchen.
model for your needs, you'll have a workhorse that can do everything from...
This is just random B-roll. They pop up. They got a little logo. They pop up. Now, oh, listen. Don't hate the player, hate the game. I don't even know what that means. But ultimately, you know, if we look through here, they just got a list of,
with extra,
you know, all these blenders, photos, voiceovers. And by the way, they got affiliate links. You got your genius links here in the description. You got all this stuff going on. But this is not a creator. This is just a script, some B-roll, some photos, and this stuff is everywhere. And by the way, it's multiplying. So if you think about, okay, how is Google ranking websites? And they actually say that this might sound kind of confusing, but that this EAT formula isn't actually a ranking factor. What it actually is what do you call it? It's like a ranking. It's like they have real humans rating this stuff. But anyway, so think of lived experience. Did that blender creator even use any of those blenders? No. Like they probably just pulled customer reviews, synthesized some kind of script. They haven't tested it. They didn't use any of their own product photos or anything like that. And so it would completely fail on the E. And so if we already see that this 4-step formula, and we're going to go through the whole thing that Google is talking about, is already hitting web pages, don't you think that Google is going to take it over to YouTube in terms of as they can scan what is in a video, can discern if stuff is generative AI or AI, if they're asking you to disclose that? So this first one, and what we can learn from this as creators is thinking about, okay, how can I make better content? How can I ultimately rank my videos, get more views? But I would also say, you know, how do I beat the algorithm? Really what we should do is replace the word algorithm with audience. It's just ultimately like not how do I game the algorithm? How do I actually just reach the audience? And what does the audience want? Lived experience, someone they can trust, someone that is actually talking about something they know, someone who's actually tested the product, someone who's not just trying to make some money off some affiliate link clicks, right? So this first one experience is think lived experience, firsthand experience on the topic you're writing about. Experience is especially important in a digital world moving towards generative AI content. AI can never demonstrate true experience of anything. At best, it can make assumptions about the human experience, but the content it generates won't be unique. So it's probably no coincidence that Google announced this additional E. This is the newest E in the 4-step formula, in its search quality raters guidelines. So that's what these are. Like these are search quality raters guidelines, like rating the quality of the content. Experience is a core differentiator between human and AI content. Woof! This gets me kind of pumped because you start thinking about, and I mean, this also might be like, man, there's some challenges. Like, but here's the good news. Like, live your experience. Like actually do the thing. Like, what's going to happen with all this AI stuff? Well, humanity is going to rise. The trend is humanity is the answer for AI, like being more human, being more authentic, you actually living it, you actually doing it. And nothing beats, nobody really wants to watch a robot doing a product review. They want to hear about a real human with real emotions, with real experience, with real fingers, not robot fingers, that is like tried it out. And it's like, yeah, this was the good, this was the bad. So experience is the first E. And so think of personal lived experiences. Think about actual thoughtful opinions. We've said recently that competition is highest for low quality content. This is a massive opportunity for you because low quality content, there's going to be so many people just letting ChatGPT write a script. There's going to be so many people that don't have any opinions of their own. They only have AI opinions. There's going to be so many people. So if you just actually think for yourself and have thoughtful opinions and develop your ideas, and so personal lived experience, thoughtful opinions, unique product photos. Now, I know we can pull product photos off the internet, but again, this is how Google ranks web pages. If you are not just pulling manufacturer photos, and that video that we just watched is the ultimate example of this,
the type who equates
is that
quality,
none of this is original. It's not even a real person. I mean, there's a real person behind the channel. That's what we call like a faceless channel product review. And it's just a bunch of manufactured photos. Well, I really believe that as soon as Google can analyze, and by the way, whether Google does it or not, humans, because humans can tell if you ultimately took like your own photos, did your own research. I just bought a Ninja grill, the Pro XL. It's electric. I think my dad is going to disown me. Son, if you're not using charcoal, if you're not using real smoke pellets, if you're not actually, but it looks pretty fire. It's like this Pro Master. I just ordered it. I got to, get ready for summer so I can like be a man. Although I think my manhood just left from ordering this Ninja, but I was watching YouTube videos and learning. Actually, it looks like often like legit people with the thing in their backyard that had actually tested it. And you know what I love the most was like after spending 50 hours after grilling, after a year, this has been my experience. These are the quirks. These are the things I learned. And they had like their own photos. So number one is experience and their own video clips. Okay. Number two is expertise. Does the creator have topical expertise? Do they have knowledge? Do they have the knowledge, the qualifications, and the credentials required to give reliable information? So expertise. Now, consider the topic of saving money, because what you might say is like, well, I don't know if I have any credentials. I don't have any qualifications. And I want to encourage you. You just have to punch fear in the face, start YouTube, and share how you did it. In fact, as we dig deeper in this, consider the topic of saving money. Some people want financial advice from an accredited professional. Side note, if you have that, I think you should build your authority in your videos. Hey, I do have a degree. I did apprentice here. I did an internship here. I do actually have actual credentials, because some people might want that. And we're seeing that as far as how this filter that Google uses is they do want expertise. But here's the other side of it. There's other people who want real life examples and strategies that have worked for their peers. Now, that's really good news for you as a YouTube creator. If you've been feeling like, man, how can I share what I know? I don't have a degree. Nobody officially ever told me I can do this. Listen, you got to kind of choose yourself, start sharing your answers, and you got to think about just the people you want to serve. How did you solve the problem? What do you think? What is your real life example with that? So in either case, that is, the first one is expertise, but think about your real life examples of strategies that work for their peers is experience. You didn't go to school for it, but it worked. You didn't go to school for it, but you got the result. And now you're sharing it. And so both of those can come into play here. Both types of content can offer value to searchers. So both can perform well under Google EAT, EEAT, the 4 factors that we're talking about. And some of this content's from SEMrush if you want to check it out. Number 3, authoritativeness. Authoritativeness refers to your overall reputation in your industry, especially among experts and influencers in your niche. So this could be other creators. This applies to the creator, it applies to the content, and it applies to the channel. And the way they put it is the website. So authority, you can build the authority as an individual, like perhaps I have grown my authority as a YouTube expert. Now the content can have authority, and then also the channel or website can have authority. So think media over time has gotten known algorithmically as an authoritative, it has a body of work. This is even just reinforced by the types of videos and the types of titles and the types of tags and the types of meta information and the feedback. You know, YouTube is categorizing you and Google is categorizing you. You want to be put into a box by Google. It's a good thing. Imagine if Google and YouTube doesn't know what your channel is about. That is a bad. How could they give it? How could they show people? If people were like, "Hey, I'm looking for information about barbecue stuff," and you like, that's what you think you're doing, but you're so all over the place and you have so much different topics or so many different things, and so Google is going to point them to a website, to content, or to a YouTube channel that is an authority. And so authoritativeness refers to your overall reputation in your industry, and especially among experts and influencers in your niche. Now, again, we are applying a Google formula to YouTube. But in Google, one of the ways it works is backlinks in terms of ranking web pages for SEO, search engine optimization. And so one of the powerful things that happens for websites is, imagine if the Huffington Post links to your website. Imagine if Forbes.com links to your website. Those are peak levels of authority sites, and they have their own authority. Like Forbes.com packs a ton of weight, not just because how well their website is optimized, but because of how long the channel's been around, the brand has been around, how long the website's been around, the quality of the journalism or whatever, all stacks up. And so we'll land the plane in a second with some takeaway questions that we can all apply, and smash like if you're learning something, getting value. But ultimately, think about growing your authority, and the more other people talking about you and the more connected and the more networked you are and the more respected you are, the better in this case. And then number 4 is trustworthiness, which is most important. Be clear about who wrote your content. Be clear about who made your video. By the way, if you're on camera, you know. And again, people, you might ask, well, are you against faceless content or faceless channels? No, but I think one of the distinctions we're going to see in the years to come is faceless content, no connection content. No, I'm connecting with the real person. There's not really trust there. By the way, you could still get some views, make some AdSense, maybe even make some good money, but are you building a real brand? You can still maybe get some views or play the YouTube game for a while, but are you actually kind of building authority and building a brand that's going to last? So be clear about who wrote your content, created your content, edit it for factual accuracy, cite trustworthy sources, and avoid hiding content behind a wall of ads. Here's the summary. So this is Google's EAT model. So experience, the author showcases direct familiarity with the topic at hand, expertise. The author possesses the knowledge, skills, and credentials to provide dependable advice, authoritativeness. The writer is recognized and respected by industry peers and niche influencers. Trustworthiness. The material is sourced from credible, frequently updated outlets. So here's the bottom line. I think that you can see how if you could apply this to your YouTube content, your content's going to do better. And I'm not saying because it's going to game the algorithm, replace algorithm with audience. Like if you start thinking about, and here's your questions to think about how this could apply. Actually, before we get there, let me share my theme. I think everything has changed in YouTube, and I think in 2024 this is the new trend. I want to say 20 years ago, I think Bill Gates said content is king. He might have been the first person to say that, and that was at a time as the internet was starting, and we learned that yes, content was going to be the vehicle that would be king of the internet. I think things have changed. Of course, you still got to create content, because if you never do, then we could never see you and we wouldn't, be there. But I honestly think times have changed. I think now content is common and quality is king. I think that's not just 2024, but that's the way forward. Content is not only common, think about AI. Content is multiplying faster than ever before. The information age. I think we're shifting to more of an attention economy, not just an information economy. Content is common. Quality is king. And that's what these four things are really from Google saying, is they want quality, real authority, real expertise, real trustworthiness. Like they want lived experience, not just a robot multiplying content. So if you commit, and here's some questions to apply, 4 questions every creator should ask. Am I putting in the time and work to gain experience in my topic? I want to encourage you to start before you're ready, punch fear in the face and press record. Start with what you know now. If you're one step ahead, you can help the person behind you. However, if you settle, if you get complacent, you are not entitled to views in the future. Ask yourself, am I putting in the time and work to gain additional experience in my topic? If you want longevity in the creator economy, you want to have lived experience. I want to keep living the experience. For some established creators, they're tempted to just take this brand deal or that brand deal, and they haven't really tested the product or really used it, or they're not really living it anymore. Or they're just kind of like, we're going to see those that don't continue to invest and stay in the trenches. And that's why one of our values at Think Media is we're player coaches. We don't want to just be coaches where we did some stuff 5 or 10 years ago, like a lot of university professors that are teaching business but never ran a business, or they ran a business 20 years ago. And that's cool. I mean, there's a lot of lessons there, but it's like, are you still up on it? Are you still in it? Are you still relevant? Are you still, and what's the answer? You just got to stay in it. Stay in the trenches. I still want to see dirt under your fingernails. Am I putting in the time and the work to gain experience in my topic? Second question, am I continuing to grow my knowledge, skills, and credentials? You can start without credentials, and you may never need official credentials, but why not pursue additional knowledge? Why not continue to level up your skills? Why not continue to think about how can I have more authority in my industry? Can I get certified? Can I go to an event? Can I go to an event and learn and grow and continue to expand my knowledge and expand my skills? That would be the EAT formula. Number 3, am I building my network and earning respect in my industry? Authoritativeness speaks to your connectedness into other people, know your work, respect your work, which all of these kind of lead to that pursuit of mastery theme of like, I'm continuing to grow. I'm putting out quality work out there. You know, like, does it gain a lot of respect if you're like, I figured out how to gain the system? I mean, maybe it does. You're like, yeah, I just put out like really low quality AI content. Are you proud of that? And again, don't hate the player, hate the game. I mean, I get it. Like if you figured out a way to like leverage AI in such a way and to like have a niche site and it's paying you AdSense because it tells stories and it's really, I mean, whatever, like that's a skill in and of itself. All I'm saying is that for a lot of us that are especially personal brands, it's about continuing to work on yourself, skill up, level up. And then last question, am I sourcing credible information and staying up to date in my industry? This one I think is tough in a headline culture where quickly we'll hear something, we'll make a video on it, we'll jump on the trend surfing of it, the trend jacking of it, and we'll push out that information. And I know that you might say, well, this is total chaos on Google and social media overall. There's all kinds of bad information. I agree. But I will tell you that YouTube and Google are going to, they're assertively, algorithmically with humans trying to think about how do we filter through all the information out there. But besides what you could get away with, why not build a brand where when people come to you, you are a source of credible information? It doesn't mean you never make a mistake, but at least you've done research, you've done your due diligence. And then am I staying up to date in my industry is the 4th question. So those are 4 questions in light of the Google formula called EAT. It is there. Google judges pages based off credibility of the page, the author of the website, the EAT formula. If you're just jumping on, definitely check out the replay and smash like if you got value. Today, we have a lot coming up on the Coffee with Cannell show. We have 2 special guests where we're going to do some coaching. We'll have some Q&A Today's episode is also brought to you by Opus Clip, but more on them in a second, as well as brought to you by Grow with Video Live. Lots of cool stuff happening. But I'm going to take a sip of my La Colombia coffee as we get ready for the show. Welcome back to the Coffee with Cannell show. My name is Sean Cannell, your guide to growing a profitable YouTube channel. Today's episode is brought to you by Opus Clip. Now, let me know if you've used Opus Clip before. Have you wondered how you could take your YouTube content and quickly turn it into vertical videos that you could upload as shorts, but maybe you want to post them on Instagram Reels, TikTok, maybe you want to post them on Facebook Reels or anywhere. In fact, I recently interviewed Layla Hermosi and we did a podcast episode. And then you might see clips like this, which is a vertical video that is posted actually over on our official Think Media Facebook page. Check this out.
Our customers and build their brand is not propelled by content and they are smaller, then I think that it would be probably quite the burden on.
So what you're watching is actually a video that was grabbed in less than 3 minutes using Opus Clip, and the captions
on the business to suddenly start saying you need to start making content.
The captions, the emphasized words, that's all done on autopilot with Opus Clip. Now you can actually get there's a free version. Use our link in the description to check out Opus Clip, to try out the free version. But what you can do is you take one long video and ultimately can be cut into as many as 10 viral clips, like 10x fast. And it really is super duper fast. And what's cool about it is when you go inside, it's not just that it's a tool where you have to dig out and find the clips. It actually is, AI is looking at what was said. In fact, here's kind of how it works. There's a virality score. It uses keywords. So it might be hearing Layla's talking about business partnerships, or hear her talking about content creation for business owners. And then it is recommending certain portions of the video based on these keywords. And it's giving you a viral score based on what's trending on the internet. But in addition to that, there's the AI Copilot. There's actually B-roll that could be added in. So you don't, if you're just talking head and like, let's say a live stream video podcast like this, then you could take this file, download it, throw it into Opus Clip, or just send them the YouTube link. Boom. It's going to take the moments of this very Coffee with Cannell episode. And if I want to use the AI B-roll, then as I may be talking about ranking and SEO and this 4-step Google formula, it's showing you different graphs and, B-roll that adds on to that. And you can even see here dynamic layout where there could be a frame above and below. Maybe sometimes you've seen two people talking. You've got like, hello, hey, Sean, nice to have you on the show. Well, it's great to be here. Wait, I should be looking here, and like, so whatever, there's the two angles on like a video podcast, but then you stack them and then vertically you got the captions in the center. So you can think about all of this kind of stuff and how powerful this would be and how time consuming it would be if you did it manually. It can sense who the speaker is and the moving faces you can see there. So I've been inside of Opus Clip a lot. My team, especially now, Tyler on our social media team is using Opus Clip to help multiply the content that we're doing over multiple different platforms really, really fast. So anyways, 3.0 just came out. Use the link in the description to try it out. You ain't got nothing to lose because you can try out the free version. But when you find out you love it, there's a couple different pricing levels, as little as like $10 a month. And you could start, remove watermarks, add in the AI B-roll and all that kind of stuff. It's sick. And by the way, again, this is sponsored and they're actually sponsoring our event Grow with Video Live as well. But as soon as we started looking at the different AI tools out there, we tried them all. Like at Think Media, we want to be player coaches, testing the different AI tools. And what I mean is specifically for like vertical video clips and whatnot. Opus is legit, and they seem to have a pretty big head start in terms of the company, the developers, like how quickly they're upgrading the UI, UX, the user interface, the user experience. And so I understand there's a competitive marketplace out there, and much love to anybody who's trying to build software like they are. But just saying, like, I wanted to bet on. I was betting on Opus Clip before we could work with them. In fact, that's why I really wanted to work with them and went to VidCon and we started a conversation, Kyle and I. And so we're really happy to call them a partner. So anyways, you can use the link in the description to check out Opus Clip. And that is going to be amazing. And then before we get into our first coaching session, today's video is also brought to you by Grow with Video Live. But don't let me tell you about it. Actually, just check out this quick video.
This was single-handedly the most valuable conference that we have been to.
My biggest takeaway of the event really is about everybody lighting a fire under my butt. Seeing so many people do amazing things has really inspired me.
It truly is a transformative thing for your business.
Think Media has really just given me that empowerment to, hey, just press record.
This has been by far one of the best events I've ever been to. The best one with all the the tactical stuff that I think that we really needed in our business to take it to the next level.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Dave Ramsey.
I am amazed at the things we don't do because we have this little tiny bit of fear that offsets all the other data and all the other evidence in our life that causes us to not go do something.
You know, no one accidentally wins. You become what you think about.
If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Because effort, talent, education, bothering to show up is not equal.
I'm amazed at the number of people that the only thing holding them back, they're going to the next level in their business, the next level in their leadership, the next level in their marriage, the next level with their parenting, the next level in their wealth building. The only thing holding them back is they don't believe they can.
Together, we're going to rise up, baby. We're going to go to a whole different level that we've never been to before. Every one of us in this room are going to leave changed.
Yeah, so we are like 8 days away from Grow with Video live in Las Vegas. I want to encourage you. There's still time to get a ticket. The hotel is sold out. But it is Las Vegas. There's hotels everywhere. There's hotels right up the street. In fact, my co-host today, Brian, will tell you a little bit about what you can expect at Grow with Video Live and some of the speakers and some of the sessions we have coming up. Now, if you haven't met Brian, he's the Director of Customer Success at Think Media, oversees our coaching program, VIRA Elite. But also, him and his wife have a top 20 parenting podcast, 50,000 monthly downloads. And before working at Think Media, Brian built a 6-figure business through the power of social media, and now has been helping take our company to another level and serving you, our Coffee with Candle community, as well as our VRA community and everything like that. But Brian, I am super fired up for Grow with Video Live. You're the MC of Grow with Video Live, but I wanted to also co-host as we get into our first coaching session with Sara today. Have you talk just a little bit about some of the specific sessions you're looking forward to at Grow with Video Live next week in Las Vegas?
No, absolutely. I am shocked. Like 8 days away. Oh my goodness. We are almost here. Grow with Video Live is happening so soon. And, you know, I was thinking about it and like, there are so many amazing speakers. We've never done this before. You've never seen like Cody Sanchez and Dave Ramsey in the same room and seeing all the things that they're going to be able to talk about. I mean, sure, they talk about business, they talk about money all the time, but now they're going to be talking about content and how, you know, man, Dave has millions of subscribers. Cody has over 1 million subscribers. I think she's on her way to 2 million here pretty soon. And it's just so it's mind blowing to see all of these people who are business owners and using the power of content to grow their businesses as well. And then you have, you know, Pat Flynn, who he's going to be talking about like this case study of his channel. I was actually kind of shocked the last time I looked at his channel, Deep Pocket Monsters. It had like 400,000 subscribers, which was insane. And I was looking just before this, I was like, oh my goodness, he's got over 800,000 subscribers on this hobby channel that he started with his kids. And now is just like this thing that he is taking in creating events for. And it's mind blowing to see. And so I'm really, really excited to be able to be just in the same room listening and getting a chance to just participate with all of these amazing guests that we're going to be having at Growth Video Live. We're also going to be having these panels, which is going to be so fun, where we're going to be talking with creators, asking some really insightful questions. One that I'm really excited about is what's working now. We're going to talk deep on like, hey, what are the strategies that are working right now? What do they look like? How are we implementing them? Where are you seeing wins at? And how can we stand out in the crowded place called YouTube together? And so really excited about it overall. And by the way, I think I can share this. There is a discount code. So if you are a local to Vegas, you can head to growthvideolive.com and there is a discount code. Type in local and you will be able to see that. And by the way, you don't have to just be a part of Vegas. You're all local in our hearts.
Yeah.
we would love to see you at Growth Video Live. You can get that discount code. Use local. We'll see you guys all at Growth Video Live coming up soon.
And one other thing I'm so excited that people haven't really heard about yet, we're going to be going deeper with this, is we're actually going to be giving out awards. And we just launched a new award for our VRA community and VRA Elite. And so this is for the incredible achievement of reaching 10,000 subscribers or $10,000 on YouTube. And then our team just verifies that because, here at Think Media, we absolutely want to help people get subscribers, get views, and grow big channels. But really, we are trying to help people build creator businesses. And I remember back when one of our students, Carrie, broke down how he was doing $10,000 a month with less than 5,000 subscribers. So it's not always about the size of your channel. It's about the business model, the money plan. We're going to be talking about a lot of that. So anyways, it's kind of cool. And if you actually are seeing this and you're interested, reach out. Like if you're already inside of VRA or VRA Elite and you haven't heard about this, maybe you've reached one of those milestones. Maybe you've been a part of our community. So there's going to be so much cool stuff happening at Grow a Video Live. And I'm so excited, Brian, for your hosting and leading the panels, which are also some of our legendary students. But hey, check out the link in the description. Yes, if you want to use the promo code LOCAL, we shared that. Brian just leaked that here on Coffee with Cannell, but I'm grateful because you are local in our heart because you're a Coffee with Cannell show member. Thanks for being here. Share this out. We're going to get into coaching with Sara here right now. And so, Sara, welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. I'm going to pull your channel up. Tell us about when did you start YouTube and what is it you guys are up to on YouTube?
Well, I probably uploaded my first video ever back in 2013, and I was playing around with so many different topics, and I think I finally committed to my channel last year when I joined VRA. And then even after that, I was still kind of I don't know what to put on my channel. But then this year I started to actually commit and I've been uploading at least one video a week so far. So that was my goal.
Awesome. And what's your question today?
I guess my question is about creating my thumbnails. Usually what I would do, I would search up my keywords that I plan to do for my videos and look at the top thumbnails for that keywords. But sometimes I don't want to completely copy or mimic the top results because I want to kind of train myself on how to come up with my own thumbnails without really looking at the popularity. And I've watched a lot of channel audits that Think Media does, and also other, FitIQ. I've also watched those channel audits, but it still doesn't click with me on how to kind of connect my video titles with the thumbnail that I make. Sometimes it's just kind of random stuff that I put in there, hoping for the best, but I don't want to have that as my strategy to grow my channel, I guess.
Yeah, this is a great question. And so, first of all, I'd say this. I think that number one, your thumbnails are great. I actually think they are really good. And I think the theme of your channel, the history of the 2 years of the videos you've posted, 1,000 videos, it just deserves applause. I just want to acknowledge you, Sara, and then you're co-creating with Ricky?
No, he's just the name. It's just basically me. But sometimes he helps when we do travel and we need to get B-rolls and stuff like that. He would help me record those videos.
But it's your channel, you're editing, you're shooting, you're ideating, you're creating the thumbnails. All right. And respect, I mean, for the work in the sense of the consistency, the editing, the posting, and the quality of the thumbnails and the results. I mean, it's really cool to see, 50,000, 57,000 views a month, 180 new subscribers just in the last month. And so what I love about your thumbnails is the simplicity, this Mount Fuji thumbnail. It's very clean. The photo of you, clean. I like your photos. There is a trend that I think our Coffee with Cannell community would benefit from. You may have noticed we went through that extreme YouTuber face where everybody looked crazy and looked insane. Kind of stoic faces is actually kind of a trend. In fact, Mr. Beast did a test between like giant smile and then also like no teeth, mouth closed. And mouth closed was outperformed. Now, of course, there's exceptions to every rule, and what you're looking for is the facial expression that best supports the video. But I guess my point is, like on this Mount Fuji one, it's just super clean. You have a picture of what it is, day trip to Mount Fuji. I think a couple best practices in what you're doing right now is, when possible, remove words. On the day trip to Mount Fuji, I don't think you need the words day trip to. I think best attractions to do around Mount Fuji, Japan day one, with just Mount Fuji. I think you have done that in other ones where you just have like one word, where Osaka is just, the one word, is keeping it as simple and as clean as possible. Is possible. And other than that, I think maybe what I would encourage you is, you're searching the keywords. Okay. So you might go like Osaka, let's say vlog, to maybe see what's ranking, and then look at what's ranking. And so in a lot of cases here, okay, what happened? There we are. Okay. So Osaka, you've got a 3-panel style. So a lot to learn from, and these are all great. And you mentioned doing that, but you also spoke to, how do I tie it into my own videos and maybe have my own style, or not just look at the best ranked videos. What I would potentially do is, if you want to take your thumbnail game to another level, is study some of the thumbnail. Let me look it up here. Study some of like the thumbnail designers that are on Twitter X. There's a whole culture of thumbnail designers, and this is going to be the peak level of thumbnails. So like my friend David Altizer, he was on Think Media, and he is hired by top YouTubers to do thumbnails. And there's a good video. We'll link to it in the description down below. And so this is kind of this would be like the top 1% thumbnail designers. And then I will, I'll have Brian come on and share some feedback to your channel, but I'll pull up a list of people I follow on Twitter that, again, have kind of like just this whole other level. And these are just, there's more examples than this, but these are just the 4 that are kind of ranked here at the top. That are, you can see a couple things like this one right here. You got the cow, you've got the stein of beer, you've got the police. It's obviously very staged, but it's very storytelling. And one of the things he talks about is, then that's also the first frame of the video. The first frame of the video is him like walking with a beer, walking a cow. And that sort of like sucks you right into the story. So my point would be this is, one, you could study the top 1% kind of thumbnail designers to get some ideas. But the other point would be, learn outside of your niche. That's a good coffee with Candle principle today. Yes, go study the top ranking videos in your niche or your exact topic or the keywords you're making videos around. But if you can pull best practices in business, you'd call this from like adjacent industries. It's like if you're a carpet cleaning company, you wouldn't just learn how are other people growing their carpet cleaning companies. You might learn from a roofer, or you might learn from a real estate agent, or you might learn from a restaurant. And you could be like, oh, that marketing idea, I could apply that to my carpet cleaning business. Other industries can have ideas. And if we have the right mindset as creators and entrepreneurs, then we could pull that. So on YouTube, you might get some inspiration. And that also is how innovation happens. People start going, man, you've created a new style. You're creating something different, when in fact, it was actually inspired somewhere else. You made it your own. This is why good artists copy. It's good artists don't copy, good artists steal. It's not theft or plagiarism, but it's just the idea that you're like pulling these inspirational pieces from other industries or other channels or other niches, and then starting to kind of develop your own style. I'm going to have Brian give some feedback on your channel in just a second, but any thoughts on any of that, Sarah?
Yeah, I feel like that's what I've been doing, but it's just sometimes it doesn't, like I said, like it doesn't really click, like, do you have maybe any suggestions on what other like travel related, but not really traveling channel that maybe I need to look into. Because I feel like carpet cleaning or restaurants is totally different than traveling. So
Yep, that's great. So, I mean, the first one that came to mind was, let's see, I thought about Ryan Searhant, which would be real estate in New York. I think some of what we're going to see here is maybe big simplicity. I really like this one right here. We're seeing simplicity of a pretty busy photo, but you also can see the level of like polish and design, even a little bit of it's been modified. I think also, and this goes into, are you going to just use your raw photos? There's actually a whole argument. The other argument here could be like the Sam Sulek trend of authenticity, where you just take a photo and like don't even brighten it up and whatnot. But I guess what this thumbnail right here would be that level that like Dave Altizer is bringing. The other guy I was thinking wasn't even Ryan. That actually was kind of a distraction. Connor Real Estate. One of the I'll come back to this one in a second, but any thoughts on that? Does that make sense? So I think maybe travel citywide, but I think one of the trends I notice from some of the top creators is a ton of simplicity, very few words, and yeah. So thoughts on that? I'm gonna look up this other guy.
I was just thinking, like, I've usually noticed that when it comes to traveling, there's a lot of like people just do 24-hour in wherever, or spending, like $1 million a night in whatever hotel. I feel like that is something that I noticed, but I feel like it's mostly for like travel vloggers, where I think my channel is more like traveling tips on how to save some money or use some travel hacking methods. So I don't think I can do it that way.
Well, I think you could still, it doesn't have to be an expensive hotel, or you can go budget, but still apply the principles of like clear, sharp thumbnail and storytelling. Like I guess too, you have the chance to storytell if you're in Japan. You could try to show the whole city, and you find some place where you can find a skyline or the quality of the photo. And in some cases, this might be also that it may not be your photo. It is interesting that we're talking about at the beginning of this entire Coffee with Cannell about your own photos and things like that. But the thing is, thumbnail is this tiny, small place of real estate that we're trying to storytell just in such a way that conveys something that may be complex and busy. But the worst thing you could do to a thumbnail is make it complex and busy. So perhaps, it's getting some inspiration of how do you show budget? What would show people that it is budget? What would, indicate that? And so those are a few thoughts for you. But I'm going to look up a couple resources and bring Brian on here. I'm curious, Brian, what are some of your feedback and insights for just the channel overall while I'm pulling some stuff up here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Sara, there's actually, I want to stick on thumbnails here for just a second, because I'm just a couple questions for you. I think the first one is, when you're saying you're doing like the research and you're looking into the types of thumbnails and doing all of that, what does that research look like to you? Meaning, you have some that are related to like traveling to Japan and all of that. Is it looking for those exact videos and seeing what other people are posting based off of these? Like, tell me a little bit more about that research that you're doing.
Yeah, usually I guess I have ideas on what kind of videos I want to post, like, lists of, for example, like where to stay in Tokyo or attraction to skip and do. And I would just kind of type out just the first few words in the search bar. And usually I like to also filter for this year videos, so I know that it's, like a newer thumbnail, I guess. And then I would just kind of take a look at what kind of photos that they post in the background and what are some of the words or the style of the text that they do in their thumbnails. Like, for example, on that third video, answering your most frequently asked questions about Japan, I noticed that I just look up basically Q&A on the search bar and look at what other people from other like niche would put on their thumbnail for like a Q&A type of video. And I did notice that they put some questions, like screenshot of the questions. So that's what I put as well.
Gotcha. No, that totally makes sense. The reason why I ask is because I think one thing I don't want to push you away from that research phase of looking at other channels, like getting that inspiration from people, super valuable. You get to see what's working. You get to see what maybe isn't working. And you know, you don't have to just stick to the exact place that you're searching for. You know, for instance, Japan might be what you're creating content around. Are there other countries that you can start just typing in those other countries and search and just seeing what are other, this would be adjacent to as well. Like if you have, you know, kind of specific to Japan, which I don't know if it is or if that's like the main topic right now, but yeah, so if that's the case, what are some other, you know, countries or examples can I go to be able to do the research based off of what they're posting as well? So like that's super valuable. I wouldn't disqualify that as, you know, I'm not original or like I'm not making content that's like not my own inspiration. I think it's incredibly valuable and you should be doing it. And I would keep doing that at the very least. Another thing that kind of comes to mind is I'm imagining like a travel channel like yourself. One of the things that we also see recently in trends is that opening frame, even from a thumbnail, is the thumbnail. Meaning, you know, if you're at a place and maybe you're able to do this, maybe you're there live and you're like showing an example of this, could you take a solid picture that then leads into like, I'm getting delivering, you're delivering on the promise of the thumbnail right in that first frame. I think that's incredibly possible for somebody in a travel channel. That could be really cool as well. Like I'm imagining some of these, you know, where you're, I don't know, maybe you could have a picture of you, you know, there. I don't actually know if you're close enough, but you know, like examples like that, if you're going to be around a place in the future, yeah, being able to get that first frame in there as well, I think could be really valuable is when I'm thinking about thumbnails as well. No, that would be a really great direction. One thing that I was also noticing on the channel is I like the idea of where you're going with this one, like this third one that you mentioned, the answering your most frequently asked questions about traveling to Japan, I think is what it's titled. But the thing I like about it is you are answering those questions. The thing that I would actually really love to see from a video like this is less about like answering your most frequently asked questions in the beginning, because we don't know what you're necessarily answering the questions about. That kind of comes later. And so I even think like, don't travel to Japan before watching this. Answering your most frequently asked questions, like afterwards, maybe, you know, things like that to get the main point of whatever the video title is at the beginning, and then delivering on that promise, like within the video as well. So like, those are a couple thoughts as I'm just diving into your channel that I think could be massive value for you and your audience as well as we go in there. Does that make sense? Or any other questions as I bring those up?
No, I was thinking that looking at your first tip, Brian, like looking at other like travel to other countries would also give me inspiration. I've actually never done that. I feel like if I'm just looking, for example, like Osaka travel vlog, I'm just kind of limiting my research there. So I think that's a really great tip. So thank you. I'll definitely look into that.
Awesome.
It's really great. And let's land the plane with a couple resources that I mentioned earlier. The creator was Eric Conover that I was thinking about. And Eric Conover is now doing like a lot of real estate of crazy high-end places in New York. But like, this is a great thumbnail. This one right here, New York. That's, you know, with the smallest apartment. You got 7-8 million. These are also his most popular videos. So just him standing, there's a lot of minimalism there. It just says New York, and then the title reinforces it. I like this Norway one. Again, 4.3 million. I mean, it's just a drone shot of the water that's beautiful, as well as a boat, and it just says Norway. He's not in the thumbnail in that case. So again, this is just would be like inspiration. You know, in writing, if you are you work in like say copywriting and you write emails and whatnot, what you collect is what's called a swipe file. Mm-hmm. And you collect, you know, the best emails that you see other people write and so on and so forth. As in thumbnails, and for us as content creators, we should have a thumbnail swipe file, which could be as simple as screenshotting, or it could be downloading the thumbnail with vidIQ installed. I can click through on this and I could download the thumbnail, maybe put it in a file on my computer. So then I also if we're constantly capturing ideas day to day, then when we need the idea, we're not, without any inspiration. We just go to our swipe file. So just like all the favorite thumbnails or maybe an idea for future, or screenshot it on your phone and save it in a folder. Kilimanjaro, same idea. So these kind of minimalist photos, Iceland, he's got a kind of a theme there. And so again, just different inspiration from somebody that maybe you normally wouldn't, and he's doing something different today. Then on Twitter, there's people like Thumbnail Girl, Thumbnail Grail, as well as, I don't know where I think I lost her. There's also Thumbnail Girl. And so these are maybe a different style that's less what you would relate to, but this is what I mean by adjacencies. I actually don't mean look at carpet cleaning companies. I mean, look at top YouTubers and then think about how you could storytell in regards to your own videos. So there's this huge thumbnail culture now. In fact, thumbnails themselves have become a career, like that people are just thumbnail specialists. So while most of us watching this as creators can't afford to pay $300 to $500 a thumbnail, which is what these thumbnail designers will ultimately sometimes earn, so this is the Thumbnail Girl. What we might learn here is, again, obviously some best practices for just how much storytelling there is, how clear things are. And I think it's one thing, I see you definitely have an aesthetic, but I would challenge you and anybody else that yes, our aesthetic is important, and yes, our brand is important, but what's also perhaps more important is being effective. So maybe how can you, within your aesthetic though, maybe apply best practices? Or if we become so married to our aesthetic, then we might put a lid on our reach. And so it's a tension to be managed. I'm not saying this would look so out of place to have a shirtless guy on your channel, but I mean, to ultimately have like this stark red and blue and it's over designed and it's whatever, it looks kind of out of place on your channel. However, how could you maybe think about that before and after, maybe experiment, maybe your tones or something? But I noticed you have kind of muted colors, which makes sense. It seems to be your aesthetic, whereas YouTube sort of talks best practice on thumbnails is higher vibrancy, higher saturation. So all I'm encouraging is that the more diverse your exposure to thumbnail best practices and other videos that, to be clear, are pulling millions of views. Eric Conover, some of these that are pulling millions of views. Success leaves clues. So there's clearly insights there. Then you want to digest and then apply those insights to your own channel. Of course, do it in a way that's true and authentic to you as a creative. But those are a few thoughts. Was this a valuable conversation for you today, Sara?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I feel like even for like my YouTube channel, it's still like an experiment. I try to try different things. So I'm definitely gonna implement some of the tips that I've learned today.
I love it. One other person too, this my last tab that I had open, is Ryan Trahan. I think Ryan's absolutely murdering it. 120 million views in a month, which is pretty crazy. And so, but he's on the go. And I think even whether it's his format, meaning his titles, his editing, there's a lot to say there, but definitely his thumbnails, and many are related to travel. And so as you are traveling or just going through the photos that are saved on your computer, your phone, and thinking about, and then upping your Canva skills or your Photoshop skills or your generative fill skills and the different things that Photoshop allows you to do. I mean, this is interesting with the shot comp of him close, but the red building on the distant, piece of land over there with a little bit of text. So you start thinking about Ryan's a true storyteller. And so that's another good one for inspiration for later. And I think all these resources will be super valuable for everybody watching here as well. Well, Sara, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for being a part of the VRA community. And we'll see you inside of the VRA private group.
Yep. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. All right, Coffee with Cannell. We got another coaching session coming up right now. Smash like if you've been getting value. And if you just are jumping on, the opening was a pretty interesting session about the 4 ranking factors. So definitely watch the replay of the video if you want to learn a little bit more about that. But coming up next, And then, by the way, if you have a question, put 4 question marks before and after the question. And we'll start starring those for after our next coaching call. One question did come in. Is it better to start a faceless creator or show your face? It's a good question, but I would say it's a totally personalized question. It's really not a right or wrong answer. What's better is to start. That's what I would encourage you. It's better to start. A lot of people maybe haven't heard that I have a couple successful YouTube channels now, but I have 3 failed YouTube channels. I don't believe those channels are failures. They were the ones I started my Clear Vision Media video production channel back in 2009. It's still sitting there. It was never successful. It was kind of a portfolio of my content. I wanted it to blow up, but it's really not a failure. It was a stepping stone to success. Sometimes we win, sometimes we learn. So if you're saying, should I start a faceless channel or should I be on camera? Should I use the smartphone I have or should I wait till I get a fancy camera? Should I start in this niche or should I start in that niche? I mean, we have a lot to say about all that stuff, but you know what I want you to do? I want you to start, because you cannot steer a parked car. And I've learned that once we get moving, once we press record and punch fear in the face, our learning accelerates faster than ever before. I think actually one of the biggest mistakes you can make is just watching the Coffee with Cannell show, but not take any action. I'm grateful you're here. I'm grateful you're watching. But if you've been watching the Think Media podcast or Think Media for 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years, but you haven't actually pressed record, listen, keep watching, keep absorbing the information. But do you know how you could 10x how good this information is? By pressing record while you're learning. When you press record, create a little bit, and then come back to a show like Coffee with Cannell, then you're like, oh, that's right. I just did that. And so the rhythm is learn and do, learn and do, learn and do. And I think our fear is like, well, what if I start a faceless channel, but then sometime in my future, I wish it was not a faceless channel? Well, you could start showing up on camera. People pivot, that kind of stuff all the time. But even, would you be willing to be wildly successful on YouTube 36 months from now? If that meant for 6 months, you experimented with a channel that ultimately didn't go anywhere. Picture 36 months from now. Is that 3 years? Picture 3 years from now. It's 20. By the way, the next 3 years are going to be the best 3 years in the creator economy. If you had a full-time income, you're making a living with a creator business, you're working from home, what would that do for your family? What would that do for just your peace of mind, getting to work on your own terms? Okay, if I could say we could get you there in 3 years, but over the next 6 months to a year, you worked on a channel, posted 50 videos, and then eventually shut that channel down or just stop posting on it. I'm not saying that has to be the path. I'm just saying, what if the channel didn't work, the channel failed, or didn't quite grow enough, but that experiment was necessary for you to internalize and get the clarity that ultimately led you to the successful idea. Friend, that's actually the path of 99% of entrepreneurs. There is a stat that says the average entrepreneur has 2.6 failed businesses. If you're starting a creator business, you're an entrepreneur. You're starting a side hustle. You're starting a mini media company. So are you willing to have 1 or 2 failed channels? Now, the cool thing is a lot of our students skip the failure process, and the people that are part of our community, just because you can learn from other people's mistakes. But I think the mentality we need to have is we just need to be willing, right, to start before we're ready, to punch fear in the face, to experiment, to try things, and then to adapt and to look at what we're learning, and if necessary, pivot. Every single business started, but has pivoted not just once, but thousands of times. A lot of times it's micro pivots. They don't maybe radically change their whole thing, but it's constant feedback. Try something, and we'll do our next coaching session, but I thought about this. You ever heard the quote, Thomas Edison, failed 10,000 times and eventually found what worked was the light bulb? The thing is, though, it wasn't that he was just like continuing to fail and do the same thing. Actually, every single time he failed, it was a methodical process. He checked off that way of doing the light bulb doesn't work. So he tried another way. That way of doing the light bulb doesn't work. So some people mistake that and like, oh, I'm still, I'm just going to keep failing over and over. But you're doing the same thing. That is not what Thomas Edison did. What Thomas Edison did was he had a scientific method of trying something, testing it thoroughly. And then as soon as it was clear that that wasn't working, he stopped doing it that way and tried another way. And then eventually it led to the breakthrough. So the method of trying a faceless channel, this is also figuring out your own skills. That's why, should I do a faceless channel or be on camera? Yeah, sure. There's a faceless channel. There's a gaming faceless channel that we've kind of abandoned at this point, but have got hundreds of thousands of views. It's kind of a side project because we're player coaches. We always want to teach you out of experience that we are running at Think Media. And eventually we determined the ROI of the energy was not worth it for us because look at everything we have going on. But here's the point, was the whole experience helped me become a better creator. Here's the final thing. Start. Because you starting is the key to your future success. Obviously, you don't have to be great to start, but you got to start to be great. But truly, starting is going to open up so many doors of opportunity that you can't even imagine. Okay, JC's been incredibly patient for an hour and 15 minutes. So I appreciate you, JC, for hanging out.
No problem.
Thanks so much for jumping on. And I'm excited for this conversation. So let us know, how long have you been on YouTube? And then what's your question today?
So my wife and I have only been doing YouTube consistently, I would say, since November of last year. I've done stuff before, put out videos on different channels, had a podcast for a while, took a break from it. But I would say just November, we've really we took VRA and we've really been trying to implement the strategies learned on there.
That's awesome. So Just Breathing is the official podcast of Lot and Lungs. That's a band?
Yeah, it's a band.
And then it's a Christian lifestyle brand that's merch or something?
I don't know yet. Eventually. But it's going to entail a lot of the, like on our other channel. So, all right. So the way that we started putting out this content, we started doing videos on both channels and we would link them together. So we would have a short form conversation where we'd be talking about specific things and link it to a long form if people wanted to kind of go deeper and have long form conversation on that same thing. That was a lot of content to produce every week. So we've really just been focusing on Just Breathing right now and taking that, the long form content that we have from that, putting it down into clips, and then from clips to shorts to use on social media and YouTube and things like that. So
okay, so you might have just said it, but I'm seeing a clip. So here's a clip, here's a full length one.
Yep.
But this is the Just Breathing podcast. What's the difference between that and the Lot and Lungs podcast?
So Lot and Lungs was just kind of going to be a main channel for our brand / the music that we put out. So that's something that we're still figuring out, the kind of how both of these things interact with each other. So we have,
Got it. Okay. And so, and then you guys are side hustling or like day jobs, stuff like that, or
day jobs,
both
day
of you?
Jobs. Yeah. Yep.
You got a family?
I do. I have 3 kids.
Okay. So 3 kids, married, both working full time.
Yeah. My wife works part-time, but she also homeschools the kids. So.
Okay. And then does she work from home? I'm sorry. I'm not completely asking every detail.
No, it's fine. Yeah. She works from home.
Okay. So wife works from home, 3 kids, married, making music, and you're trying to keep 2 YouTube channels going.
Right. We kind of have abandoned the Lot and Lungs page for the purpose of just being able to focus on one thing, the Just Breathing podcast. And that gives us a lot of content from the long form to kind of break down into clips and shorts and things like that. it just wasn't viable to just try and keep both of the channels going at the same time.
Yeah, that's especially with the season you're in.
Yeah.
And then if we were having this question 3 years from now, and if we were having this conversation 3 years from now, and you had accomplished everything personally and professionally that you're hoping to achieve right now, what would you be experiencing in 3 years?
So I would hope that the podcast was at a point that we could, right now I work as a creative pastor at a church. And I also work part-time for the school that meets there. And I would love to be able to pull away from getting paid by the church and get paid by YouTube and whatever other kind of venture that comes out of that, so as to not put that burden on my church. So that's future vision. I eventually just want to volunteer for my church and not be on staff in that way. So that's future vision.
So that you guys could do this full time, work from home, and how many hours a week would be a dream lifestyle? Would you be working to now? You're doing it full time, but you still down to put in 40 or whatever it takes?
Yeah. I mean, I put in a lot of extra time right now because I do all the thumbnails, editing.
I'm sure.
Opus Clip is a lifesaver. I love that website. I use that for my shorts, and it's been amazingly helpful. But yeah.
Not a plant, but
no.
Sponsor today is Opus Clip. Hit the link in the description. It's legit. It's just legit.
It's really good.
Definitely try out Opus Clip. Link in the description down below. It really does, especially when you're time starved and busy. Yeah, you're probably, I mean, especially just the life of taking care of the kids and everything else. You're 100-hour weeks.
Yep, it's a lot.
Once you get off work, you're still working, and then once you get that final kid down, you're like, oh, I just sleep sounds so good, and then you get up for the grind again, and so respect. Well, want to send you a ton of love and respect for just the hustle, the amount of what you guys have been putting in. Your guys' creative spirits are so clear in just being artists, musicians, doing all of this. I'm asking you a lot of questions here. Are you trying to co-brand in a lot of cases? I see a lot of clips with just you in the thumbnail, probably because you're the one talking here. Is she ever in it too? What's the goal there?
So right now the format for our podcast is my wife does a lot of research, and she basically curates questions from the internet. Eventually we would love to do this live so that we can be answering people's questions live. But right now we're just curating questions from the internet. She basically asks those questions and I answer them, which makes breaking it up into clips very easy. Nice. But that's the format right now for the podcast, just to give it some structure. We used to just be very, Joe Rogan-esque. Let's just talk about whatever. And I just didn't think that was as effective as it could be.
And then who is your podcast for, and what problem does it solve?
So I want to help people live a Christian lifestyle in this modern world. I want people to be able to take the principles that I've gained from Christianity and I've learned just through, following people like you and other people on the internet, and kind of taking that information and breaking it down and making it deliverable to everybody. I think there's so many principles in Christianity that could help people live just a more successful lifestyle. And I don't think the church always does a fantastic job of that. So we really want to kind of take that information and present it to people in especially young people, in a palatable way. So that's why a lot of our focus has been on dating and marriage, and eventually we'll get into other subjects relevant to young people.
So I love that. And I'm a little bit distracted here. I don't know if this question's on everybody's mind, but it's on my mind. What is the gold microphone?
The gold microphone? Oh, goodness. I don't know off the top of my head. I actually bought these microphones for my church, but we haven't started the podcast for my church yet. So I was trying them out.
They're crispy. We got to figure that out.
They're B&H Photo. B&H Photo. I know that.
It's got a vibe. It's nice. That matches the nice wood of your background and whatnot too. That kind of pops, and like you got the nice green wall.
Yeah. Okay, usually we're in this studio, but that one we tried out in our home.
Okay. Okay. So, in just a second, we'll have Brian follow up and look at some channel and do some stuff. But in light of all this information, I've got some thoughts. But what is your specific question today?
So the question I had was, I am getting the most views, subscribers, engagement on my shorts, but I'm a podcast. And I love the engagement. I try to engage with people in the comments of my shorts. I definitely am able to put out the most content through my shorts. So obviously that's one of the reasons why a lot more people are finding me in that way. Am I hurting my channel in the long run by growing through shorts instead of really trying to focus and direct people to the long form content?
What a question. This is Opus Clip right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dope. And you can see great. And Opus Clip found this for you. Like Opus Clip, it pulls the clip. You kind of like maybe move the start point, end point, let it do the captions, export, boom, you got a YouTube short.
Yep.
And that's the video we were just looking at 9,000 views, which is cool. This is I love the application of one of our favorite content strategies, which is start a video podcast, chop it into clips. Okay, so here's my take on this though. Disclaimer number one, or opening statement number one. I love shorts. We do shorts. I love shorts. 1A and B. I am not anti-shorts. I know people have an argument I do not think shorts are ruining channels. That would be my second point. Number three, I'm still conflicted. In fact, I am personally going through a crisis in my podcast channel, and I'll share it with you.
Okay.
And here's what it is. So we had Chris Do on the podcast. Look at what just happened to our channel. Do you see this?
Yep.
We just went from a consistent 33,000 to 40,000 on the podcast channel to 309,000 views in a day.
Wow.
Why? One short. Okay. Well, now here's what's also funny is that one short is me asking Chris Do about his coaching prices. He charges $5,000 an hour to coach with them. And the way the clip opens, it's just more than anything, it's triggering people, and we're getting hate in the comments. Now that's not what ultimately bothers me. But here's what I think is a very important question to ask about this. This is not what you're experiencing, but I think we can look at the very important question. I'm like, is this really worth it? I think is this really worth it? Now, let's actually assess, and we could check out this little breakout guy here, which, by the way, the funny thing, it's not, of course, always true, but the funny thing about what goes viral is a lot of times, like it is that it triggers somebody, or there's a mistake in the video, or there's something that people start to mock, or there's something that people debate about, right? So let me just kind of give some real-time thoughts of what I think is happening here. Well, a couple of things. I'm like, well, okay, I don't know if people are going to hit subscribe. Thing one, I don't know if people hit subscribe. The people who hit subscribe are probably not mad. They were probably actually like wanting to see more content about this. Okay, great. I think number two, hey, $37, that beats a poke in the eye. All right, number three, it is, I guess, ultimately getting greater reach to the channel. Number four, here's interesting, is of course this short links to the full length interview,
right?
Which, let's go check right now. We have the related video connected, which is also the dream. And so what does this said? So we're getting traffic on now the full length conversation, which I am excited about. And I know you would be as well, using shorts to drive the full length conversation. Suggested videos, related shorts this is coming from suggested videos, related shorts, related shorts. That's not the click though. So that's kind of cool. So maybe, I don't know. I actually have to look that up. Like related shorts. Maybe that actually is the direct traffic of what that means, because we can actually see that if we go to, let's say, like advanced mode, and then try to say secondary metric. I wonder if we could say we need like traffic sources, shopping, members, interactions, post, revenue, reach. Okay. Reach, engagement. Here we go. This is where we want to be. So we have browse features, suggested videos, other YouTube features, direct or unknown, YouTube search, related shorts. This is a good. So, okay. So related shorts is that link, correct? And 851 people made it from the short to the full length video. 851. Now that's pretty cool. But the video has, it's a radically low percentage. The video has, the short has hundreds of thousands of views already, and like a percent of a percent of a percent actually made it over to the video. Okay, so some final conclusions. I think then the final thing is this. When I get those 850 subscribers from that short, so again, I'm not really concerned about the haters. I know that people will misunderstand the clip. That's usually what goes viral. I also have to ask this question where obviously it's a guest podcast, but I ask this question, is it building Chris's brand more than it's building my brand? Maybe, but will people continue to like the show? That's just the nature of having people on as an interview. These are all questions that go through my mind. But the final thing is this, and this is that you could open this on your computer and look at this viewers across formats thing. And if we say videos and shorts, so people who are going to watch, at least on my channel, shorts only is 32%. And then people who are going to watch videos only is 60%, and only 10% watch both. So I guess that would also mean now, I think I can concisely summarize this. We're growing two audiences.
Yeah.
These days. And I don't know if we're growing two audiences and only 10% overlap. We are growing on one channel, two audiences, those who watch shorts and those who watch videos. And all the way back to my opening remarks, I'm okay with that. We're not going to stop posting shorts, but what I wrestle with is what is it we're trying to achieve? Do we only want long form viewers? If we never post shorts, I guess we'll never know. But as maybe audiences evolve, or we think about how we could use shorts, and there's those who only watch shorts, I just want to reach people, period. And so maybe I'm not offering you an answer to your question, or you can remind me of your question, but it's something that I'm living through in light of, what was your question again?
No, it's just tough to know if I'm hurting my channel in the long run because it's a long form content podcast. Am I hurting it by doing shorts now and getting that kind of short term, gains?
Yeah. So my thought is my argument would be this, and this is the raging debate in the YouTube community. It's not necessarily that you're hurting your channel. It's what are you committed to over the long haul? In fact, I mean, let me ask you this question. You watch other video podcasts or other podcasts?
Yeah.
Is there anybody that you consume, content creators that you like, but you only consume 99% of their shorts and or vertical content on social media, and you're not really a long form podcast listener of them?
Not for the people that I follow, long form. I'm typically long form.
I'm just saying, period. Is there anybody on social media that like you kind of follow, but you don't listen to their long form podcast, but what you see from them is only the vertical stuff? I'm not trying to lead you. You might say no.
I don't.
So maybe that insight could be helpful to you and maybe others. I do. Yeah. I'm curious for you, Brian. Is there anybody you follow that you keep up with their work, but you don't listen to their long form podcast, but the way you keep up with their work is vertical content? And I mean, even off YouTube, like maybe you're like, you kind of see what they're doing on Instagram and you mainly see reels. You're aware that that was from an interview, but you've either never watched a full length interview from them or a full length episode. You just only see their vertical, or are you only long form for the people you ride or die with? Brian, what's your thoughts?
No, I don't watch much of Alex Hormozi's long form, watch his shorts, and like Ryan Pineda's would be the same. Gary V, even Chris Do, like most of those people, I'm typically just watching the shorts. Occasionally, like if I see something that stands out and I'm like, yeah, I do want to watch that. Of course, I'll jump over and I'll watch that as well. You know, like Gary V, I don't know if he's still doing it right now, but he was doing like the marketing live stream once a month and going live. I would jump in that and listen into that. Otherwise, I was like paying attention to shorts and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely a mix. There's some that obviously I'm following and I watch their long form. But for me, yeah, there's definitely a ton where I'm just taking bite-sized pieces of their content versus, you know, watching all of it.
I think that's a big light bulb moment, JC, and for Coffee with Candle overall is this. Our personal behaviors, what we do as creators is we project our personal behaviors and our preferences upon the audience and then sometimes spread it on the entire audience. Not that you're doing that, but we just have the propensity to do it. Like people are watching this right now and they're like, I don't like shorts. And their conclusion in thinking that is like shorts don't work.
Right.
Or like, and that is just absolutely living through a lens of projecting your personal preferences is a losing strategy because, and especially when we have data. And so I love that you personally say like the way you engage, which I think there's also insights in who do you want to be? What brand do you want to be? But then also just, do you want to be effective? And again, what work are you willing to put in with a tool like Opus Clip, for example? You're like, this is sustainable. If these bite-size pieces of content can impact people and change people's life, am I okay to continue to do that? And maybe I'll reach some that come to the long form show where the deeper transformation can happen. However, if that's where they stay, and I'm more with Brian podcast wise at this exact moment. I'm mainly in audiobooks this season. It's interesting, even though I'm more business than ministry these days, Carey Nieuwhof is one of the main podcasts that I open on Spotify. I'm like, what guests has he had on lately? And I just listened to his recent one with Cal Newport on slow productivity. As far as, and then I guess on YouTube, I listen to Michael Zuber Daily Financial News only on YouTube. I don't really care about his shorts. So there's shows I've connected with. I've connected with Michael Zuber's Daily Financial News. I've connected with Carey Nieuwhof's long form conversations, him as an interviewer. I add a lot of videos to watch later. I'll pick and choose. I only watch Patrick Bet-David's clips because he's talking to 4 people a week for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know, I love clips. And so I think clips versus shorts is interesting because people are busy. But I think the insight, and this is just like, you know, I think audiences are going to be segmented and some people might not. Clearly, the data shows us on Think Media Podcast, people, I'm sure they're aware, but they're like not even aware I'm posting long form videos. You know what I mean? Like 3 out of 10 people are engaging with my Think Media podcast. They're not watching this live stream. They might not, they don't even know Coffee with Candle exists. I would argue they don't know that much about me. I've seen that guy. He gets I like the people he has on and some of his stuff. They don't watch clips or videos. If we go shorts and live, people who watch shorts only in that case is 7 out of 10. So the 241 people on here right now are such a rider, like your perspective, Coffee with Candle, thanks for being here, is like one perspective, yet there is this group of shorts only consumers.
Yep.
That and big key, that just might not migrate over. And I had to get 500,000 views on the Chris Do short to get 851 people to come over. But macro, my conclusion is, hey, I'm here for the tools YouTube gives us. If we can pull off good clips, good shorts, that's just a chance to reach more people and impact more lives and get good information. And then, by the way, where a lot of my conflict comes from is I'm like, is the information, was that isolated clip even worth it? Like for the controversy we stirred, which is, again, just attention to be managed. It's things we wrestle with as a creator.
Oh, yeah.
Which clip are we cutting out? If all we did was just trigger people, which, by the way, was by no means the intent. I actually am absolutely convicted and convinced of the message of that video, which is about, you know, the price people are willing to pay is determined by the buyer and so on. It just shows a lot, whatever. So I think it's just a lot of things to wrestle with. So any feedback on that? I think bottom line is what you're doing, I think is great. I don't think it's ruining your channel. I think why people think it breaks their channel is they're like, man, my shorts are going wild, but like my long form is plateaued. I think, or my long form's declining. And I think they attribute like it's because of the shorts, when in fact, maybe the people you're reaching with long form, the quality of your hooks and thumbnails with long form and all of that, that kind of has to earn an audience on its own merits.
Gotcha.
It's two different audiences.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, there's a little bit of overlap, but really fixing the long form and focusing on optimizing the long form would be the key, as opposed to blaming shorts and then deciding if that's the game that you want to play. What are your thoughts, JC?
So the only thing with that, my mindset, I agree with you about optimizing the long form. I'm doing 1% better every day. But the thing that I was worried about was view duration, because I'm getting most of my views on these, 60-second shorts, instead of people staying on my content for longer periods of time. I don't know enough about YouTube yet to really know if that's a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Meaning this, each video gets judged on its own merits.
Okay.
And your channel is not penalized if like the average view duration of your whole channel goes down.
Cool.
Because it will. If a lot of shorts are driving your views up, they can't be consumed for very long.
Yeah.
By the way, total watch time minutes will go up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because for, even what's the average view duration on this Chris Doe short is 30 seconds last time I checked. And that's horrible compared to the average view duration on a typical replay of the Coffee with Candle show is 14 minutes, 15 minutes, 16 minutes. And so if we go to the average view duration is only 26 seconds, but the watch time hours is 4.6 thousand. This one short, although it's not a long form video, is enough hours to get a channel monetized. Because of so if minutes matter most and time on platform is what YouTube cares about. So anyways, that's just to alleviate your concern.
No, it's great.
It's not that pulling down the channel average is going to hurt, because it will pull down the channel average if you have shorts breaking out. So if we just go to channel wide and we go to content, one thing that I wish YouTube would do would be actually separate things out for us a little bit better on channel wide view duration, which must have been moved or something. So let's see here. New viewers, shorts, returning viewers, subscribers, published content, views, impressions that lead to watch time, average view duration on the whole channel, 8 minutes and 19 seconds. And that's going to be the whole channel, I think. But here's maybe one other final thought for everybody thinking about this. And I'm curious, join the conversation. Think Media Podcast community in relation to, are you posting shorts? Are you doing long form? Are you doing lives? What are you experiencing with your channel? I think I'm also just betting on YouTube. I'm betting on the developers. I'm betting on Google. I'm betting on YouTube. We are certain of this. They are committed to winning. They're in a war with iTunes and Spotify and Amazon Prime and Netflix. There's a whole bunch of art. We're talking about this at Growth Video Live next week. There's all these articles on how YouTube's bigger than Netflix in terms of consumption and influence and different things. I mean, maybe that's obvious, but even in living room consumption, it's pretty wild. So YouTube is this massive player, and then battling TikTok. That's probably one of their biggest. Is they're in a war with TikTok. The reason they're pushing shorts is partly for that reason. They're seeing the growth of TikTok. TikTok is kind of going down right now, and all kinds of drama in the whole content creation space. They're in a war with Facebook. It's a platform war. I am betting on YouTube that these features they're adding, they're committed to. It's not a guarantee that like there won't be tech issues and they won't sunset a feature, but shorts are not going anywhere. Vertical video is not going anywhere. I predict that longer form vertical videos will start getting recommended in the shorts feed and start being a part of that experience, because TikTok's doing up to 15 minutes for some creators vertical video. So I think that we'll see the length change on shorts. We'll see it maybe go to 90 seconds like Reels did once, but we'll maybe see that if you upload a 15-minute vertical video or a replay of a live stream or something, that also could be in your shorts feed. Here's the point. It'll all evolve. I am betting on YouTube evolving, and I am betting on them being committed to these products. And what I mean by products is their podcast product and their video product and their shorts product. So, and I guess we're also YouTube educators, so it is our responsibility to test and be player coaches and to share all this kind of like stuff that we're doing. So that's it. I think, you know, hit me with a follow-up question. I think what you're doing is fine. I don't think it's hurting your channel, but I think if, depending on the results you want from your channel, this is important information, because what can happen, what you do, the thing you invest in amplifies naturally, right? Like if you start going to the gym, your muscles get bigger, and you're like, I never knew this was going to happen. Like, why are my muscles getting bigger? It's like the natural result. So it's kind of like if you also start posting shorts and getting good at shorts and tripling down at shorts, it could create a situation that you didn't really want. You're like, man, shorts blew up for me, but long form never did. Here's the truth. If you never posted shorts, they would never blow up for you. And if you only focused on long form and it did, you know, and so I'm not putting those things at enemies, but it's just what you invest in is going to multiply. And then algorithmically, YouTube might take that and turn it into something. And some shorts, I was talking to Benji, the co-author of YouTube Secrets, about this. He was saying a lot of cooking creators he mentors and he's friends with and his helps. And that's definitely his domain is, and a huge majority of them were shorts creators and fully focusing on shorts. And none of them wanted to stay there or be there. Ultimately, the financial sustainability wasn't really there. They definitely got the views. They got even peaks of fame. What they also saw was they rode that initial wave of shorts, which was like a jet fuel thing. But now, of course, we're in a little bit more stable and a little bit supply and demand is increasing and there's a lot more supply. Punchline is they're all trying to optimize and solve for long form. And so I would also give that advice. If you said, hey, you have two options of things you can master and be good at and make great on your channel, do you want to be great at shorts or long form? I would choose long form 10 out of 10 times. If you notice what we're doing on the Think Media podcast in regards to the hooks, they're like mini trailers at the beginning. I'm trying to take my game as an interviewer to another level. I'm trying to get diverse guests and like VRA guests and like community guests, but I'm also trying to get great guests. Like I'm taking my podcast super seriously. I want the long form to be the best show it could ever be. And if there's one sword we're going to die on, it's going to be long form 10 out of 10 times. That does not mean we're not investing in shorts, as I just explained, but it just, if I was to putting weight and priorities, I would 10x down on long form quality, breakthrough, growth, subscribers, because then even the quality of that subscriber is also going to be different. More power to having a community of people who watch your shorts and they, you know, whatever, but just the shallowness of that experience. Brian's a fan, like you mentioned, of Alex Hormozi and Ryan, but he sees their clips and Gary. And I know that historically guys like that, maybe there's other, but who's a better super fan of those guys? It sounds like not Brian. It's right. You're not their super. So the super fan is the long form viewer, the subscribe notifications on, and they're doing both, but just to kind of speak at a different level. So anyways, we've definitely hit this conversation deep, but any kind of follow-up questions on there? Or thoughts?
No, it just gives me more assurance to just continue going with what I'm doing right now and double down on the long form content. So thank you.
Well, JC, I appreciate you. Love what you're doing. And thanks for being a part of VRA. I do want to hit some of our Q&A today, but I'm excited to connect more in our private group. And because your future is bright, man. I love what you guys are doing. And I think small tweaks will lead to giant peaks on your channel.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks.
All right, JC.
Thank you.
My friends, I'm going to pull Brian up here as we land the plane on our 1 hour and 39-minute show here in a bit, but I'm going to get through some Q&A, try to do some lightning round myself. Smash like if you've been getting value. What a fun conversation. and some good guests today. But I want to take a break here to ask you your aha moment and or your action item, because we're hashtag action takers at Think Media. That's not just some kind of gimmick or saying. It's just that we know if we don't punch fear in the face and press record, we'll never get results. I'm curious about this. Are you tripling down on shorts? Are you doubling down on long form? Are you committed to doing both? Are you trying to be focused right now? What's your strategy going forward? Welcome to Q2 of the year. Welcome to spring in the United States. Welcome to April 16th if you're here live while this is streaming. If you're a replay fam, hashtag replay fam. Always, by the way, I probably read at least 98% of the comments. I don't always reply to all of them. Admittedly, I'm on YouTube Studio on my phone throughout the day, a couple times a day at night. They say don't open your phone first thing in the morning. It's not good for you. It is the first thing I do. It just is. It's just, and I go to YouTube. I actually go to YouTube Studio if there was a schedule upload at 5 a.m. It is the first thing I look at, and I start reading comments. And it's not typically toxic, but sometimes it is. And then I'm like, that's why they say don't open your phone. But just so you know, hashtag replay fam, I see those comments and I'm like, dude, thank you. Because I know this is an hour and 40 minutes into the replay of the Coffee with Cannell show. And Drea just asked your aha moment, but I do want to ask you to share what your action item is. The Swedish car guy, which by the way, love seeing you here on the show. Thanks for being a part of the community for years and for being active in the comments. Hashtag action. Make more videos with higher quality. Double down on both and listening more to the community. Those are some power tips right there. Content is common. Quality is king. Make more videos with higher quality. Double down on both and listen more to the community. Really good. I'm doing both now. I wasn't doing much shorts. Out and About said, I am using shorts to promote my channel. Cool. Love it. Called the fame. Thinking about not just focusing on one right now. Cool. All right. So let's hit a couple cues before we land the plane at the top of the hour. I can't stand AI. Call me old fashioned, but if there isn't a human being doing the video, I'll never watch it or support the channel. You're not alone. And I do believe future is bright for content creators. I think we're just going to see a flood, and we already are. There's actually a Wired article about, it's kind of scary. Scary is kind of a strong word, but the most abundant AI content right now is kids content because of how easy it is to make animated content. And some of these channels are getting huge views. And then some of the channels, Wired does this piece. It's like, they just get so weird. And you're like, man, as a parent, I got to be thoughtful about what my kids are seeing. But even that makes me think, man, as a parent, I want my kids to see I want my kids to see quality because I want them to be learning quality information and good information and, again, and by the way, though, I would say AI as a tool behind a human with a soul who's using it to make their vision greater. That's the tension of it, right? I think that I think AI is great. We use AI. Opus Clip is AI, which, by the way, Opus Clip is not just a sponsor today, but it's obviously an AI tool cutting up clips of real people. I suppose you could use it if you were a VTuber or something like that, but. So there's AI is kind of a funny cover all term because it's in a way it's not good or bad. It's how you use it and what is it being used for. But it is a good question. And I think future is bright. If you triple down on your humanity going forward, you'll be unique as more fakes arise. All things theology. This channel has helped me through many issues. Just hit 41,000 subs. By the way, Ruslan is my guy. Hey, I appreciate you. Thanks for the love. Happy to help and keep building. Ruslan is the man. I'm in a group text with Jeff Moores, Mike Signorelli, and Ruslan. And so we're always talking, and I send them a lot of shirtless pictures. It's true. Because I have fitness goals. You're like, what did Sean just expose on the internet? my fitness goals. I was joking with another Think team member about my wife looked at my phone and she's like, who are you sending these pictures to? Like, cause she was like, why didn't you send them to me? I was like, I sent them to Ruslan and Mike and Jeff. And she literally, this is a true story. Who are you sending these shirtless pictures to? The homies. And I guess the Think team member was talking about how like there was a meme about that being like, you got to send your, anybody relate? All right, let's keep it moving. Swedish car guy. How to make more double down on outliers. I did actually ask my viewers what they want to see. Do you recommend this strategy? I mean, one of my favorite things that vidIQ is doing right now is publicly showing you, I believe the free version does this, and we can link this up in the description as well, vidiq.com/think. You know, when you go into your real-time analytics and it says this video is getting 2.6 more views than normal, 2.6, yeah, 2.6x. Well, vidIQ has made that public or made it easier to view on your homepage or other people's channels. And so I can see that this interview I did with Ken Coleman's getting 22 views per hour, but also it's got an outlier score. That's the new thing, is the outlier score. Learn if this video is outperforming your channel's average. This is actually incredibly powerful because yes, you could go inside and look at individual videos, but what it allows you to do is quickly scan your own content, more importantly, other people's content, but also your own, to see, okay, this got 3x, this got 2.3x. And then of course, if you go to popular, you're going to see 55x, 55x, etc. So then the outlier is clear. What is the video that broke, you know, the normal rules, the normal averages? And then your question is just, how do you double down on it? I think the simplest way is to just ask, what about that video was popular? And then how do I make a follow-up topic? When I interviewed Michael Zuber, this YouTuber makes $80,000 a year without editing. I think a few things that made that popular, I'm guessing, but you tell me, by the way, tell me in the comments, why do you think that people love this video with Michael Zuber? Here's my thought. I think it probably related to people that were like, wait, there's a YouTuber crushing it that's not a 22-year-old kid, but that's, you know, a midlifer. I think B, $80,000 a year is a cool number and it's a true story, right? So you're like, okay. But then of course the like crazy thing was those two facts, plus he literally doesn't edit ever. Like he absolutely, his entire channel includes no editing. Like he just records either solo or with a guest on Zoom, hits record, records it, turns it off, uploads it, and that's the whole channel. And it's been a wild success. It's called One Rental at a Time. Anyways, I think that a lot of people don't want editing. Editing's painful. They don't want to learn editing. So, you know, I can't really do a solo round about not editing. I guess I actually could. I'm not editing right now, although this is a pretty dynamic live show with multi-camera switches, but it's just a live stream. I'm not going to video edit this video, but whatever. I think Michael Zuber, the appeal is obviously the simplicity there. How do you do it? And then thumbnail, and it all comes together. Here's the point. The follow-up could be, can I find somebody else that doesn't edit and that is having success in some way? And so that's how I would break down. I would process your videos and then think about, in some cases for me with an interview show, it's obviously the guest has a level of influence, but then it also could be topics like we know maybe grow fast or grow with shorts or how to start. And so that would be my answer. If you're talking about doubling down on outliers, identify the outliers. And then to that point, if you are interested in learning from your competitors, like if you had a yoga channel, you could go to Yoga with Adrian. You wouldn't even need vidIQ to see this, but or actually for popular is going to be easy. Go to someone's channel, go to popular. That's easy. That's going to be in order regardless of video. vidIQ gives you the score. However, what's really cool about the vidIQ outlier score is not the popular tab, but is the latest tab. Because if you're like, okay, underperforming, you're looking for the color. And when the little color stands out, as soon as you get there, you go, okay, what did she talk about? Is the question. Okay, short wake up flow, 15-minute yoga, 2.9, and it's not super old. It got 1.5 million views 5 months ago. And if you have a yoga channel, listen, I would make a video on my short wake up flow, and I would do a 15-minute, like, of course, spin it yourself, but you're like, all right, the breath work did 0.6. The 30-minute yoga did 1x. But that one, what about it? So is it the topic? Can you learn anything from the thumbnail? 5-minute full body stretch. No joke. I'm going save to watch later. That's what I'm doing after coffee. I'm not even kidding. I'm a whole new. I'm 40 years old, man. I got to stretch out. I'm sitting in a desk right now. Okay, let's speed it up and get Brian on here for a question or two. But those are a few thoughts on doubling down on the outlier score or just your outlier videos and making a follow-up video. You know the quote, success leaves clues. Make part twos. Next question. Marianne, can you please do the video and software Sean uses to change multiple angles, basic beginner version and advanced version? Yes. I'll tell you what. First thing, if you search Think Media Dream Desk, and we'll link this video up in the description. The title of the video is My Dream Home Office Desk Setup, Productivity and Content Creation. And this explains exactly the setup that I'm in right now. I have a Stream Deck to my left. You can see me touching it in this video. You can see my 2 Elgato key lights and my 3 cameras. And my methodology of doing this, number one, is a PC, because I have an internal capture card, and that I have a streaming PC, so I can put a capture card that is internal, PCIe slot, maybe Express, whatever the speed of it, to plug in a CamLink Pro card that has 4 HDMI inputs. And so running off of good cameras, that's an HDMI input, that's an HDMI input, that's an HDMI input. I could add another camera if I wanted. And so I've got the 4 cameras. They've basically stayed the same, but I used to have a ZV-1. Now I have a Sony ZV-E10 right over here. And here's some footage for you. So there's the internal capture card that I've got. And then you plug in HDMI cables, and then it works. It's an Elgato card. It works with the Elgato Stream Deck, and boom, I can switch through the camera angles really easy, as you're seeing here on this stream. Now, also, this is a ridiculous setup. Like, this was not free. Like, this was quite the investment. I want to say the whole setup is approaching 30 grand, but that for everything in my office, paint to like electrical work I had done. I was blowing breakers for a while in here, so stuff like that. So there was a lot of cost. It would not cost you probably anywhere near that much to replicate what I'm doing, but I was happy to. I kind of had like spared no expense type of a situation. Let me just try to, and I tested. I also overspent, and like I have some stuff in my garage that I didn't end up using. Whatever. Standing desk, counting everything: chairs, furniture, standing desk, paint, RGB bulbs, all of that. Okay. So the other way you could do this, because the question is, how can you do multiple angles? You could use things like webcams that could be $50 each for like the Anchor 2K webcams. StreamYard, at least for 2 now, if you can say plus an extra camera. That's at the bottom of StreamYard right now. You can share your screen, but you could say plus an extra camera, and the extra camera, I think that source could be like another USB. So if you wanted to easily add using StreamYard an extra camera, we should test this. I can't say that I've tested this, but you could pick up like this Anchor 2K, which is just slightly larger resolution than 1080p. Like 2 of these guys, that'd be $120 total, plus StreamYard, plus a USB mic. And then you could be like, hey, and if I want to, you could, pop over here. using just the web-based StreamYard software. Okay, so in summary, if you're watching this, you're like, that was a lot. Check out the links in the description down below. We'll link to the dream setup video. We'll also link to a StreamYard tutorial that I did, or that Nolan did. And you can go through some of those things. So that's how I would replicate kind of a beginner version of that. And if you were to pick up like an Amazon, a Samsung Q2U, watch this. If you were to go Samsung Q2U, $69. And then you were to get the Neewer boom arm stand, $14. And then you were to use your MasterCard, priceless. Stupid. So that's like $70. And then you got the, a couple webcams, which by the way, I know that Marianne has already a nice camera. So maybe you add a second camera, but you could get a nice USB mic boomed to you and do a couple angles and then use StreamYard for $40 a month or whatever, I think, or less. But, to get the pro version, you could do 1080p or HD streaming. And you have a pretty sick setup like we're doing here at Coffee with Cannel to the tune of a couple $100, like without having to spend $30,000,
Sean, I was just going to add, you can use your phone too. So like I, next to using my Mac and Apple, like I can add the extra camera. Let's see if I can do it live. Can I do it live?
Oh my gosh. Here we are. Coffee with Cannel. Live second angle.
Okay.
Wi-Fi?
There's my walking pad. I'm connected directly just with a USB. And so, yeah, I'm able to.
I want to say it's kind of delayed. Let's take this down. Go ahead. We have no, can you add that? Oh, I guess you don't need to add that camera. Can you add audio on that angle?
That I'm not as techie as I should be, and I will find out.
Side note, and this actually brings up that this methodology, I definitely see some delay, even though you're hardlined into your Mac.
I am hardlined.
Yeah. So even though you're hardlined into your Mac, let me give one other tool. And I did this, I will admit, the 4K capture card from Elgato. It is not compatible with, it sometimes has issues with a lot of different motherboards. And I don't know about a lot, but like I had my computer crash at our Vegas office. I bought a new streaming PC. Nice. And I couldn't get the cam link to work with it. And I watched a bunch of YouTube videos and they were like, some, it just doesn't, it would do video, but it'd be green. Here's the point. So what I got in Vegas was I got a Blackmagic ATEM switcher. Now this is going to cost you $300, but super easy to use. Guys like Roberto Blake, Nick Nimmin use this, I believe. And here's all you got to do. On the back of this, you've got USB-C out. Okay, so you're going to go from this to your computer or your Mac. Boom, one plug. And then into this, you're going to put your whatever Canon M50, your Sony camera into the HDMI ports up to 4. At Vegas, I'm just running 2. And so then I'm able to just switch basically like this on my desk, hitting 1, 2, 3, or 4. And don't let all these buttons confuse you. They're actually like some of them have like funny animations and effects that are kind of ridiculous in my opinion. And I would argue I use nothing. Like I might joke around on some of the effects, but literally I use it to press 1 or 2. So I use the entire thing to go from camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2. And it's it's dead simple to use. So for 300, I think we have a video and we should do a new one. I actually wish there's a couple new versions of that. Yeah, so we'll link this video up as well. This one device blew up my editing workflow. And so check this out. And this we'll break that one down. Really good question on like the tech side of things. Okay. We've got a question. Best way to handle haters. Brian, as we land the plane and a few more questions, I know we're at 2 hours, but we're going to push it a little past to at least cover this question and maybe one or two others. I'm curious your question and maybe how you and Jenna process this. I'm curious, have you gotten any negative feedback on the parenting podcast?
So a very little. Actually, it's kind of the kind of nice part is you have to like try when it's an audio podcast to
You have to like
negative-
leave a review.
Like you have to leave a review.
Have you got
to,
a
like,
negative
reach
review?
out. I think there was a couple like quick negative reviews, but not too many. I actually, back when I was creating content though, I was doing personal finance content, and I would make videos with Dave. It wasn't with Dave Ramsey, but with Dave Ramsey, and I would like I use some of his content to like make my own content. And I remember I had an Apple Watch on, and it was like my grandpa's. I didn't know how to wear. I know that sounds funny. I didn't know how to wear one, and I think I put it on like wrong. And I was in the video saying stuff, and everybody was commenting on the fact that my Apple Watch was incorrectly placed. And actually, the kind of nice thing about that is it's actually like free engagement. When you think about it that way, all of this, negative on something that people saw, but there has been times where it's like
your audio cut out for a second, but you're back. Go ahead.
Okay. No, there has been some times where it's like, yeah, the negative comments, whether it's, I actually take it more personally, I think, when it's like, because like overseeing our success team, and when it's like more, somebody upset with maybe a product or how things happen, I actually take it very personally. And personally, it's like, it actually is a little bit hard because I'm like, oh, we're doing as much as we can. And how did we miss? Or what did this look like? And so I do take it pretty personally. And so then I have to take a step back, and I'm like, okay, maybe this person just had a bad day. Like maybe this person is just like at their wit's end. And it's like, I'm just going to rash this out with the first person that wrongs me, quote unquote, today. And we happen to be it. I think about like even recently our family's had a bunch of just negative stuff hit the house in different ways with sickness and people passing and all of that. And like, it could be easy to not even think about the fact that all of that is affecting us. And maybe I like lash out against somebody I didn't even realize. And so I think I try to take the benefit of the doubt on what could be happening on the other side of that message, because at the end of the day, it's not just a random person. It is a person who's leaving the comment. And it is a person that's like having a hard time. I think you recently interviewed George Camel, and he talked about a comment that was made, and he responded, and the person was like, oh my goodness, I can't remember the comment they made, but it was really negative towards George. And he was like, I'm so sorry. I actually applied for a role at Dave Ramsey years ago and didn't make it in. And I guess I'm still bitter and taking it out on you. And then it just like became a real personable thing, whether it was rather than, oh, this random troll leaving comments on my content. No, it was a person who is hurt. Hurt people. And at the end of the day, that's life. And that's going to happen. And I think if we can take the benefit of the doubt road, a lot of the times it's we get to see people for life, I think that's truly the case. And then, I mean, that's probably a majority of the comments. And then I'm sure there's like one out of every 100 that's actually like, no, they're trolls. Ignore them. They are no good for you or your soul or things that you're dealing with. So yeah, those are like initial first takes on negative comments.
Man, I love that. And a couple resources. We'll link up this video so you could go a little bit deeper, how I deal with haters and negative comments on my YouTube channel. Just a 10-minute answer for you. We'll put that into the show notes. And I appreciate the super chat, Orange Grove. And then I do have a book recommendation, and disclaimer, I have not read it, but I have studied the work of the author, Michael Gervais. So I actually stumbled on his article. I've made a video about it on FOPO, not FOMO, fear of missing out, FOPO, fear of other people's opinions. And so it actually, I was so sad that it missed my radar. I mean, not by long, but by 6 months. This book came out at the end of 2023. So Michael Gervais is a high performance psychologist, and he wrote a groundbreaking guide for overcoming what might be the single greatest constrictor of human potential, our fear of other people's opinions, FOPO. So I want to say it was like a Harvard Business Review article or something. And then he finally turned it into a book. You can see it's got good reviews. So if you're like me, by the way, I was just reminded to get this in my cart. I had it saved on my Amazon. And yeah, it must have been a Harvard, because it's Harvard Business Press Review. So redirect our attention from the outside world to inside of us, the mental skills to overcome the fear of other people's opinions. And the article I read, he has coached sports MVPs, people in high pressure situations where, can you imagine you're playing an away game and you're being booed by the crowd. Maybe you're being torn apart on social media. People are being incredibly loud and negative about you and critiquing your every move and your every mistake. And so, man, what is the mental toughness needed to do that? If that sounds interesting to you, I actually want to have him on the podcast. Now that I think about it, that'd be a good conversation. I'll read the book, have him on the podcast if he's down. I don't know him, and we'll see what happens. Maybe that'll come up in the future, but that's a resource to check out. Well, Brian, thank you for your contributions today. Super grateful for you. So pumped for Grow a Video Live.
Yeah.
And Brian's our MC at Grow a Video Live. He's going to be hosting some panels. We've got a panel of what's working now. We've got a panel of kind of like haters, negativity, getting started. We've got panels on money, of how different people are creating creator businesses. Brian's leading all of those. If you haven't got your ticket to growavideolive.com, you still can get there. Use promo code local, makes the tickets very affordable. Growwithvideolive.com, link in the description. It is next Thursday, so it's 8 days away when it starts in Las Vegas in person. And we covered a lot today. I do have one other question that I wanted to hit. How do we approach the age factor? I cannot make my channel look like Gen Z. Your age will lead to a certain genre of content, obviously. I think we hit it earlier. Let me just encourage you this. We're in the rise of the midlifers. YouTube is an equal opportunities platform. Have you heard the baby boomers YouTube stat? Check this out. 67% of baby boomers ages 60 to 77 watch YouTube. And they spend at least 6 hours a day online and own 5 devices. Now that's consumption, but that's 7 out of 10 baby boomers. YouTube stats on the demographics. By the way, we did all this research from the Tilt, covered how many Gen X and baby boomer creators are rising up. And there's audiences for it as well. But you might be not surprised to learn that 94% of US internet users, 13 to 14, watch YouTube. So like all of them, but look at how spread out across the generations these stats are. It's all generations, the lowest being 56 and older, but still 67% of people. So if we were to think about peer-to-peer, certain topics and subject matter, I'm not trying to learn from Gen Z. I'm trying to learn from someone who's 50, 60, 70 and has some life experience. Or someone who is a baby boomer is trying to learn from someone else who's a baby boomer who's moving their finances around and trying to figure out retirement. I think it's really about I would say you got to work on your mindset. You got to work on your confidence. Ageism is real. I will agree there's mental hurdles to overcome. You could look at these, oh, they're young and look at their skin and, like the wear and tear of life hasn't. And then if I was only, how is that helpful? Unless you're Benjamin Button, we're not going backwards. And so ultimately it's not about your resources, including your age, ethnicity, background, demographic. It's about your resourcefulness. And so punch fear in the face, get started. And then look at, I love my friend Shalene Johnson, who's one of our speakers. Naturally, because of the way she's cared for herself and fitness and whatnot, at 55, I'm like, how are you 55? But she actually just did a midlifers video. And so I get the whole thing. You might be like, Shalene Johnson is a attractive, and that's helpful on YouTube to have that advantage. But what did she just do a video on? She just did a video on, maybe it was on Build Your Tribe. She called it Midlifers. And I was talking to, Michael Zuber, going viral over 40. You know, midlifers blow up your YouTube channel. She's speaking on Friday at our event. So again, you might be like, well, I don't look like Chalene Johnson. Either do I. Mr. Gray Beard over here, you know, come on. I'm here trying to champion all ages. And I do want to encourage you. It really is, I think, being thoughtful about how you want to appear on camera and being thoughtful. I mean, just in general, I'm not trying to go down a rabbit trail, but you know, your health and the way you take care of yourself and things like that, you know, can all help. And there's newscasters creating content that are not young. They wear makeup, guys too. All right, relax. They do though, right? Because they're jumping on camera. Are you saying I have to wear makeup? No, I'm not. I'm just saying you could. I'm saying you get to package and position yourself and put yourself out there, and be thoughtful. But if you also just consider this, if you can find a person who looks like you, sounds like you, lives somewhere similar to where you live, that's crushing it on YouTube, they just destroyed all your excuses. Not me. You could go easy for you to say, Sean, you're a white 40-year-old guy living in America. Okay, cool. So then I guess I can't destroy your excuses. But I'll promise you this. You know how big the creator economy is? There is somebody who looks like you, sounds like you, and it could be their background, it could be a disability, it could be they're tall, short, they're skinny, bigger. Like there just is, because there's 2.7 billion monthly active users on YouTube. Not everybody wants to watch the same content. And let's land the plane on your question by even encouraging you that we're living in a world where you can do faceless content. You know, there's a true state. People go, you got a face for radio. Dave Ramsey himself said that too. He goes, he's on video now though. He's like, I guess I have a face for radio, but YouTube came around and he realized for his mission, he told me this in the interview, I want to reach as many people as possible. So we're platform agnostic is the way he said it. We're on YouTube, we're on Rumble, we're everywhere. So anyways, I hope, I understand that this gets very personal and we have so many insecurities and our upbringing, and yeah, we look different. We have different genetics. We have all that stuff. But like my dad used to always tell me, you got to play the hand you're dealt. Ain't no truer words. Like that's the hand is the hand. So you got to know when to fold them, know when to hold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. Right? Okay, sorry. But ultimately, you're not trying to be Gen Z. But here's what I would encourage you. You should be you. You shouldn't try to be somebody else. You shouldn't, if you're Gen X, you don't need to like try to be cool or be hip or be relevant. But here's the other thing. I was just watching this guy. I may have sent it to somebody. I was watching this guy who's probably in his 60s, maybe 70s. And he had all these like fly outfits. And he was like he had like a CapCut edit on Instagram. And he would like snap and he would like change. And I was like, dude, that's me. I'm like sending it to my wife, Sonia. I was like, that's who I want to be. Like, you know, I'm 40, but I think I'm going to probably dress with like Palace Gap Athletic Collabs, which is a London skate brand that you probably don't know. Because that's just I grew up skateboarding. I'm going to just be me. You got to be you. You got to be you times two, but you got to play to your strengths. And then think about literally the strengths that you have. YouTube is such a diverse platform that it may be less about you being a personal brand. It may be you being a part of even somebody else's team, even helping somebody else grow a channel. It may be a faceless channel. It may be AI. It may be other things. Where there's a will, there's a way, and everything is figure outable. But there is a massive movement. I spoke, and I'll land the plane here. 13 minutes after, we'll end before 15. If you want to go to this video next, if you go over to Think Media, the main channel, and you check out 10 reasons to start YouTube, I think this is an important video, and we'll link this up in the show notes.
A consumer. Here's what's kind of fascinating. When you think about social media,
you get a wide shot.
But let it be.
So this event that I spoke out to 400 people everyone was probably 35 to 75. and this was Michael Zuber's event for one rental at a time, you'd be shocked. Just because you don't know or you're not seeing them or you're not watching them, there is a wave of midlifers on YouTube, starting channels, reaching people, building audiences, exchanging information, iron sharpens iron, sharing their creativity. One of my friends, Dotto Tech, I'm a tech YouTuber, so is Dotto Tech. All right. Do you have to be a Gen Zer to do like tech and you know, whatever? No, you could be Dotto Tech with 456 subscribers.
Love them or hate them, you have to admit, Google has done an amazing job with Google Maps. And
my guy, like, so if you can find somebody who looks like you,
webinar Wednesday number 2.
If you can find somebody who's your age, if you can find somebody from your country, if you can find somebody who speaks your language, they kind of just said, hey, it's possible. Is it a guarantee that you're going to be a YouTube millionaire? No, but is it a guarantee? Is it proof that it's possible for you to start, you to create something, you to build your tribe, to build your 1,000 true fans, to encourage people, to build people up, to share information, to make your contribution to the world. We're not saying everyone's going to be massively famous on YouTube, but I really do believe you can have an impact. And isn't all of life and content creation not just about trying to change 1 million people's lives, but just trying to change one life? Because even if we could just change one person's life, maybe they'd tell somebody else. So anyways, that question inspired me, wanted to share a little bit on that, and I appreciate you. Coffee with Cannel. There's a little bit of feedback. I'm in my late 40s, and the majority of my audience is 24 to 35. That's cool. Look at that. I am middle-aged and just starting my channel. Let's go. I like that. Everyone's unique in their own way. Couldn't agree more, Wendy. You double down. I'm going to be 58, and I don't let age keep me from having a channel. Come on. Listen, and by the way, God willing, I'll meet you on Coffee with Cannel 15 years from now. You ready for that? I'll be 55. I'll still be here. Well, I don't know what the future of this all holds, but YouTube's so massive. Like, that's actually kind of crazy to think about. And so we're here. This creator economy it truly is only maturing. At this point, it's not going backwards. So, okay. Hey, Coffee with Cannel. My name's Sean Cannell, rhymes with YouTube channel. Appreciate you. Thanks so much for being a part of the show today. GrowAVideoLive.com if you want to meet with us in Las Vegas next week. We're here a couple times a month to answer your questions, help you succeed on YouTube. Watch the replay if you haven't. Hashtag replay fam if you made it this far. That's insane. And I cannot wait to connect with you in a future episode of the Coffee with Cannel show. Talk soon.